You've said before that running saved your life. Can you tell us what was going on in your world before this all started?
Yeah, I mean, so I started running when I was in my early 20s, and um, I was just in a period of my life where I was not exercising at all. I was not active, and I was in my early 20s. And I think when you're in your early 20s, that's kind of when you're in like your prime, and your body like wants to move, and your body wants to do stuff. And instead of, it's I obviously have a fire inside of me, but instead of like dealing with that fire inside of me, I just like extinguished it with drugs and alcohol because it was like easier to do. So, I was just basically fucked up all the time and kept myself sedated enough so that I didn't feel, you know, any sort of issues with not moving my body. Um, and it got to a point where I started having like crippling panic attacks and like anxiety and depression and all these things, which I think are a direct result of, not moving, not exercising. And I had a friend who basically said, "Hey, man, well, it sounds like you need to like work out." Um, and I went to a gym and I got a gym membership and I got a personal trainer and I started like lifting weights and doing the elliptical trainer and like getting back into shape, and everything went away. All the anxiety, all the depression, all the issues I was having. And I was able to just do a very hard pivot, um, and get my life back in order from that moment on. I mean, obviously there's still, it wasn't like I got sober right that second and like stopped doing everything, but it at least pushed me into a direction where I eventually did stop doing everything and um, was able to just focus mostly on running and my career and things like that. So, had that not happened, I don't know what would have happened, but I was extremely unhappy, extremely depressed, extremely anxious, always feeling like I was going to have a heart attack or like, you know, I was dying. And this is before, you knew what that stuff was because there wasn't really the internet. You couldn't like go on ChatGPT or WebMD or whatever and be like, yeah, I'm having chest pain and I'm shortness of breath and I'm not really sure why. I'm only 22 years old. But luckily I had a friend that understood the value of exercise and pushed me in that direction, and he was correct. So,
Do you ever think what would have happened if you didn't have that friend at that point in your life?
yeah, I mean, I do think about it because I was super depressed and not in a good headspace. So I'm sure bad things could have happened easily if I had just continued down that path. Depression is quite crippling and suffocating, um, especially when you're in your 20s and you're trying to start your life and do all these things. So, um, but and I think now I influence a lot of younger men and younger women, and um, I just hope that sometimes I'm that friend telling people like, hey, start moving, start working out. There's hope, and it's in movement. It can be your medicine, and it can make you feel better. And I mean, and I know that I have because I get thousands of DMs from people who tell me how watching me on social media has gotten them moving and got them into a better spot, either losing weight or just, getting more active or running their first marathon or running their first 5K or whatever it is. Um, and so it's nice to give back. It's nice to be like, somebody did it to me and now I can do it to, thousands of people,
That's
millions of
amazing.
people actually.
Have you had any stories that have kind of like stood out for you? Any people that have reached out to you to share their stories that have stuck with you?
I mean, honestly, I screenshot like almost every DM I get where it involves it, and I have thousands and thousands of messages of people that have
Wow.
either lost weight or changed their entire life or got sober or so many in my mind that I wouldn't even be able to like categorize it. I probably get at least five a day, and I can't even get through all my DMs. So I probably get more than that, but um, I'm still just one person running this like massive social media platform, and
That's amazing.
I still have all these other responsibilities. So it's very hard to like even get through them all, but um, it's it's a good feeling when I get them. It's a good feeling when I read them because that's my goal is just to make a difference and to help people, to spread positivity because this world is not always in the best place when it comes to all that sort of stuff, especially the internet, man. What a negative place a lot of
Yeah.
times. So,
When I hear
uh,
that, it it gives me a really happy feeling that you're helping so many people and that you got helped and found exercise and that was your kind of outlet. But it also gives me a bit of fear with how many people, young people, there would be who are probably in that headspace right now that are maybe one gym membership away from getting out of it and maybe don't have that friend or don't follow you on socials or don't have that positive influence in their life. And because I'm a big believer, I share that standpoint as well, Andy. Like, yes, depression, anxiety is a very, very serious thing. But I do think that just movement and exercise would help a lot of people before any other treatments as well. So it kind of scares me to think how many people would be stuck in one of those ruts and one of those holes. And as I said, I'll one run away, one good friend telling them to go down to the gym together from getting out of that hole, but maybe never will have that experience.
yeah, and I mean that's the cool thing about social media is like I have huge impact as far as my reach goes. I mean last year I did my numbers and I had 400 million views across all my
Whoa.
platforms. And so, when you're talking about reaching people, and then you look, I have a lot of young kids that follow me, a lot of like cross country kids and um, like 14, 15, 16 year olds, because they're all on TikTok. And I have a lot of very viral videos on TikTok. So just, I think that, yes, there's always going to be people that don't know about this, but I think as a society, there is a large online presence of people that are making exercise like an important topic. As far as mental health goes, we did not have this when I was when I was that age. We didn't know about this. So, and if we did know about it, maybe it was in a book in the library, and that was the only place you could find it. And if you didn't know to look for it, it wasn't there. So, at least I have hope that because videos go viral and so many people see them, that somebody you'll get exposed to it somehow. I mean, I that's my hope at least. That like because the thing is you might be like really overweight and you might be really out of shape and you might be really depressed, and that's a hard message to be like, well, just go run. Well, if I'm 400 pounds, I'm not going to be able to go run. But and that's why it's just important to focus on like movement. You might be able to walk, or you might be able to do something like that, or go, you might be able to swim, you might be able to walk in a pool. There's as long as you're moving and you're starting, and like I said, even if you only do 30 minutes a day, what is that like 131 hours a year? I mean, that's a lot of hours if you add it all up in a year. It will do something to you. It will change you somehow. Um, all these little micro goals. And honestly, I think we all know if we start with 30 minutes a day, what is that going to turn into? It's going to turn into an
Yeah.
hour, and then maybe an hour and a half, and eventually it'll become something greater than 30 minutes. Um,
100 miles a week.
well, I'm just saying, I mean, exercise it can be a little addictive, right? When it starts working well and you start feeling good, you're like, well, I want to feel good better. I want to feel more, so.
For you, Andy, I'm a big admirer almost because you do speak very openly about anxiety and mental health, and you've also spoken openly about your own PTSD from working at your very intense job. Um, can you share with us a bit more about that and how like what exactly you go through day to day at work, and how you, I don't want to say deal with that now, but how you manage that, those emotions day to day. Because obviously you've come a long way since that 20-year-old who didn't go to the gym and was in a dark hole. But sometimes these challenges don't escape us; they just come in different ways. So can you share with us a bit more how you work through them at this stage in your life?
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Abnormal. If you enjoyed, please consider subscribing to the channel and give us a 5-star review in whatever podcast platform you are listening or watching on right now, as it goes a long way to help growing the show. Thank you, and see you in the next one.